Welcome back to Project Tug. In this episode I'm going to be focusing on the upper part of the hull and getting some plywood sheets down to finish off the top deck. I think once that's been put on, it's really going to start looking like it's coming together. But before we do that, we're going to have to install this, the servo, because if we leave it until after the deck's on, it's going to be an absolute bugger to fit. So better to fit it now than to struggle later on. Anyway, let's get on with it. And this is what I've come up with. It's not big, it's not clever, and it's certainly not pretty, but it is solid and it should do the job. If I screw this onto the back plate, it should give me the freedom to move it around later on as well, if I happen to make a mistake and put it on a little bit close to the centre or too far to one side. I don't know if you can see this. There we go. That seems about the right place. It's just about level with the control arm for the rudder. So with that there in place, let's see if we can get this in. That didn't work as well as I hoped. Well, that ain't going anywhere. There we go. And that's it in. That was a bloody struggle to film. Right then, onto the decks. This is how I'm going to go about putting the deck on. Measure the area. It's saying 13.5 centimetres, so I'm going to have to cut a strip out 13.5 centimetres wide. So over to the plywood, line across the whole chunk, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it in two. For the next step you'll see why, because I can't fit the whole one in. Right, off to get me knife. And now to cut the piece I've measured out, using the ruler as backup so it doesn't stray too far. Just gently score along and keep going. Eventually the blade will work its way through the plywood. Once you've got a few scores, the cutting gets a hell of a lot easier as the blade tends to guide itself. And now with the piece cut out to size, as you can see, it fits nice and snug up against this section of deck that's already there. But unfortunately, I don't know if you can quite see it on the camera, nice big gap at the top, and that's what we want to get rid of. So what I'm going to do, get a pen, as good as I can, follow the line around the edge. It's not going to be perfect, we'll fix that with a bit of whittling later. Now, same again as before in this. First cut's always the one you've got to be careful with. Just gently score along the chosen line. Once you've got that first score in, everything gets easier. And just keep working away at it. I'm using 2mm birch plywood for the deck of the ship. And there we go. A bit messy on the underside, but never see that, so I don't mind. Now that you've got that nice curve, it's time to see how it fits up to the side of the ship. As you can see, it's a lot better, but it's still not perfect. Gonna have to whittle down areas around here and possibly a little bit on the back. Then it's just a case of trial and error. Keep getting the fit until it's perfect. Eventually, you should get a piece like this. It fits in absolutely snug. Once you've got that snugness, what you want to do is trim along, measuring back from this edge the same equal distance, and that should give you a nice smooth swooping line for your access point in the center. Once you've got one side, flip it over, check if it fits the other, then draw around it and simply cut out from the template. Then it's a case of working your way back along the ship. The only part that will be different is here at the back. Now at the back, what you'd have to do is do a template for the one side, get it to fit in there nice and smoothly, check it fits on the inside. Once it fits on the inside, cut out a whole new piece after measuring the distance between here and here, and then push the whole piece in that way, and it should fit nice and snug. Anyway, what I'm going to do now, I've done that off camera, I've done all of the upper deck pieces, is I'm going to glue them in with a bit of boss stick and show you what it looks like. So I'll be right back. And that's the deck on. As you can see, it's really starting to come together now and look like a ship. I found out exactly what type of tug this is as well. It's a TID tug, or a TID tug. At the end of the video there's a few pictures of what it's going to be working towards. Big thank you to the TID 164 conservation group that have allowed me to use their pictures to show you what the final piece of this model should hopefully look like. A few of the keen-eyed amongst you may have noticed that there is no access port to the rudder control at the back. That is going to be fixed next episode, along with the finishing touches to the deck. I'm hoping to sand it down a little bit, get some wood filler in a few of the little gaps, and put some tissue paper down to get rid of that wood grain effect. Anyway, that's all for this week's episode of Project Tug. As always, thank you for tuning in, and until next time, have a good one.